Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we've got a new supporter card that we need to be having a little bit of a look at. And ladies and gentlemen, this is going to really help. Now, our translation here comes from the lovely Joe over at Cerebi.net, though it is the lovely Primal Lugia who has informed us that it is called Professor Oak's setting. So what does it actually do? It reads, search your deck for up to 3 basic Pokemon with different types and put them onto your bench. This is awesome, ladies and gentlemen. This is absolutely awesome. Because you see, we are not having very good Pokemon search post-rotation. Now, this is not going to be in our August set, Unified Minds. This is going to be in our November set. So we are going to have a couple of months post-rotation before this hits. But when the rotation hits, our Pokemon search options are weak. I've done a video about it. I'll pop a link in the description. But we're not going to have Ultra Ball anymore, which is a little bit of a shame. And we're not going to have Nest Ball anymore, which is a little bit of a shame. And they're the best 2 cards we've got at the moment. We are still going to have Professor Round's Lecture, but here's the thing. Professor Round's Lecture only searches for Pokemon with 60 HP or less. So even something like a Naganadel focus deck is going to look at this and go, well, there's no Poipole with 60 HP or less. There's one Poipole in Forbidden Light, but that's got 70 HP. And we got another one in Lost Thunder, but that's got 70 HP. Yeah, this is actually really bad. Now we're struggling to search. Now, there are exceptions. Netball is coming around, and that's really good for grass decks. And to be fair, we do have the Stadium Ultra Space, which is kind of nice if you're talking about these Ultra Beasts like Poipole. But generally speaking, Pokemon search, things are looking bleak after the rotation. So Professor Oak's setting comes along here and goes, oh, what's that? You'd like a little bit more? Well, great news. I've got your back. You can search for any 3 basic Pokemon just so long as you're willing to go for Pokemon with different types. Now, one very important thing that we need to point out as we get going here, this is like Nest Ball in that these Pokemon go directly onto your bench. And that's really important because of Dedenne. Dedenne is our go-to draw engine in terms of, I want to grab one Pokemon and draw a bunch of cards post-rotation. It lets you discard your hand, draw 6 cards. In a post-Tapu Lele world, it's the best thing we've got. And the thing is, because it is a lightning Pokemon, there's a very good chance that you're going to be playing it in a non-lightning deck just for the ability, and go, oh, well, I need Pokemon with 3 different types. Yay! Off we go. Let's use this as our lightning type, but no. Because it goes straight onto your bench, meaning that the ability is not on the table here, you don't get to use it, no ability for you. But then again, there had to be a little bit of a downside. And to be fair, this card is full of downsides. This is not the kind of card where it's just, yay, it works for everything. No, ladies and gentlemen, this is potentially really awkward. Because you've got to get Pokemon of 3 different types, and then they go straight onto the bench. Okay. So, how many decks are going to be wanting to use this? Because let's take something like Reshiram and Charizard as a nice example. It's the best deck in the format after all. Well, they're playing largely fire types. They're playing Reshiram and Charizard. They might be playing a bit of Volcanion. They might be playing a bit of Arcanine. They're all fire Pokemon. Now, to be fair, a bunch of them do tech in the Turtonator from Dragon Majesty, and that does happen to be a dragon Pokemon, so you're fine here. But it's kind of, you get a Reshiram and Charizard, you get a Turtonator, you get some other tech-in Pokemon, or Dedenne or something like that, except you don't get the ability, so probably not Dedenne. But you're not able to just go and get 3 Growlithe ready to evolve into Arcanine. You can't go and get 2 Reshiram and Charizard and then add in a Volcanion as well. It's a bit of a pain. And the other thing is, this is your supporter for the turn. So if you're playing this, you're not using Welder to accelerate energy and draw cards, which a lot of the time you're going to want to. Let's say you're playing a Naganadel deck. A lot of the time what you really want to do turn 1 is just grab 3 Poipole out. Except you can't do that because they're all psychic. Now, to be fair, Quagsire is often played with Naganadel, so what you could do is use this to grab a Wooper ready to evolve into Quagsire, a Poipole ready to evolve into Naganadel, and then another type of attacker. I don't know, maybe Tapu Koko because it's lightning and it's got free retreat. It's an option. Maybe not the best option, but it's an option, gosh darn it. And that's kind of what we're doing here. We're looking at this in terms of, okay, how many decks play 3 different basics? And more importantly, how many of them want to get 3 of those different basics out in the early game? And in some decks, this is going to be really, really good. Because it's not perfect. But if it can help you get that set up, it's going to see a lot of play. I mean, the gold standard really in the history of the game is Pokemon Collector. Pokemon Collector just let you get any free basics straight into your hand. It was over the top good, and if it were to get a reprint, it would instantly see a ridiculous amount of play in every deck. Because the cards go straight into your hand so that you can use the coming into play abilities. And it's just any free basic Pokemon. No mucking about with different types or 60 HP or less or any of that. But one card that really is going to help you here is Ditto Prism Star. Because Ditto Prism Star is a colourless Pokemon, which means it's often going to be a different type. So you can grab yourself a Poipole now and a Ditto Prism Star, and that's 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3 ain't bad, as Meatloaf might say. And then you can go and find a third. So let's take Blacephalon as an example. Now we're actually rolling here, because what you're probably going to do is grab 1 Blacephalon to use as an attacker, and you're going to grab 1 Poipole to evolve, and 1 Ditto Prism Star. And now all of a sudden, instead of grabbing 1 fire, 1 psychic, we don't have a third type, you've got that 1 Ditto Prism Star, which means you now do want to grab 3 types. And there are going to be an awful lot of decks where you only want to grab 2 types, but then Ditto Prism Star makes it up to 3. Honestly, there's going to be a lot of decks here where Ditto Prism Star is single-handedly the reason why you can afford to play this, why you're going to be able to get the most value from it. There are still going to be a lot of decks where you just don't really want 3 different types, and that's going to be a problem, and that's always going to limit the usefulness. And you're not able to use coming into play abilities. Loads of people like dropping a turn 1 Marshadow, but that's not going to work here because you don't get the coming into play ability. Although admittedly Marshadow is rotating out, but there's still going to be a whole bunch of others. My point here very simply is, this is great Pokemon search. In a format where we don't have a huge amount of great Pokemon search. Yes, there are stipulations and downsides, and no, it's not for every deck. Not every deck is going to be able to use this. But there are going to be a whole bunch that do. This is basically Professor Elm's lecture. It doesn't work for every deck, but the decks where it does work are going to absolutely love it, and it's going to be amazing. And I'm going out on a limb here and giving it 5 Wassies. Even though it's not for every deck, I think it is going to be for a significant proportion of decks. I think this is going to see a lot of play in a lot of different decks, and in my world, that's a 5 Wassie card. Maybe in a few sets time, we'll get a load more Pokemon search and this will become redundant. But in the format where we're getting it, it is going to be some of the best Pokemon search we've got. And for that reason, I think it's a 5 Wassie card. But I would very much like to know what you think about it. So please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where we talk about games that don't even have Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.